Taliban just shocked the world with what they're building. But here's what almost nobody is talking about. It's not just construction, it's control. Control of water, control of energy, and control of trillions of dollars in hidden minerals that almost every major power, including China, is quietly eyeing. One of these projects is so massive, it is now the largest of its kind in all of Asia. And if you think that's big, wait until you hear how China is quietly pushing a $60 billion corridor straight into Afghanistan while the world looks the other way. Let's start 400 kilometers north. Out in the middle of a barren desert, something gigantic is being carved through the sand. The Kosh Tepa Canal, a man-made river so huge it doesn't just break records, it completely erases the old ones. This thing is 115 meters wide, bigger than California's legendary aqueduct, and long enough to slice across northern Afghanistan like a concrete spine. When completed, it's set to divert roughly 20% of the Amu Darya River. 20%. That's a number that terrifies every country downstream. Because this canal isn't just for irrigation, it's a declaration. A statement that Afghanistan will take the water it believes it deserves, even if its neighbors don't like it. And the numbers explain why. Once finished, the Kosh Tepa Canal could irrigate over 550,000 hectares of desert land, an area larger than the entire state of Delaware. This would increase Afghanistan's farmable land by almost 1/3. Think about that. A country known for droughts, famine, and food imports could suddenly become self-sufficient, maybe even an agricultural exporter. Right now, more than 6,000 workers are running massive excavators day and night, carving through some of the hardest terrain on Earth. The project's estimated cost is $684 million, and the Taliban themselves added another $100 million from their own budget. For a country with almost no international recognition and very little foreign aid, this is a massive investment. But the message is clear. They are trying to remake the country on their own terms. And here's where things get complicated. Countries downstream, especially Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, are starting to panic. Their cotton industries depend heavily on the Amu Darya's water flow. And now Afghanistan is saying, we're taking our share, with or without your permission. Water is becoming their strongest geopolitical weapon, and the Taliban understands this extremely well. The canal is only one piece of this strategy. Across Afghanistan, they're building dams, lots of them. The Bakhshabad Dam is back under construction. Others are planned across the Helmand River basin. They've even resumed dam projects during active diplomatic disputes with Iran over water rights. This is something the previous government would never have done. The Taliban's message is simple. The rivers start in Afghanistan, and Afghanistan will decide how they're used. And what surprises analysts the most is that these projects are actually being completed, unlike the previous US-backed governments, which struggled with corruption and billions in aid money mysteriously disappearing. The Taliban has reportedly tightened up the entire infrastructure system. Multiple reports suggest that corruption has dropped dramatically, primarily because people who steal from state projects don't just lose their jobs anymore, they lose much more. Brutal governance is still governance, and when it comes to infrastructure, it's showing results. But the Taliban isn't only thinking about farms and dams. They're planning something much bigger, an entirely new city. Kabul, New City. A modern urban development covering 722 square kilometers, 1.5 times the size of present-day Kabul. It's designed to house up to 3 million people, with 250,000 residential units, commercial zones, universities, clinics, parks, shopping centers, and full utilities. It sounds impossible for a government that's been in power for only a few years, but construction has already begun. Phase 1 alone has 206 zones. The Golden City Zone will hold 42,000 new housing units. Parcel B started in August 2023 with 6,600 apartments under construction. And in late 2024, they launched Parcel 2.6, worth an insane $700 million, planned to deliver over 52,000 units. This is not a small project. If completed, Kabul New City would become one of the largest planned cities in Asia, built not by a modern democracy, not by China, not by a wealthy Gulf monarchy, but by the Taliban. And that brings us to the real reason all of this matters: geography. Afghanistan is sitting at the crossroads of Central Asia, South Asia, and the Middle East. For centuries, its mountains and deserts made it a nightmare to control, but its location makes it incredibly valuable. And the Taliban is building infrastructure to turn that location into leverage. In May 2025, China, Pakistan, and Afghanistan signed something huge, a trilateral agreement to extend the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, into Afghanistan. A $60 billion megaproject connecting Chinese factories to Pakistani ports is now reaching into Afghan territory. This gives China direct access to Afghanistan's untapped minerals and creates a new trade route into Central Asia. But that's not the only route. Enter the Trans-Afghan Railway, a $4.8 billion, 573-kilometer railway connecting Uzbekistan to Pakistan through Afghanistan. This one rail line cuts transport time from 35 days to just 4. Construction begins in 2025 and requires more than 300 bridges and 5 tunnels across dangerous terrain. And another railway, the Kaf-Herat line linking Afghanistan to Iran, already began transporting cargo after becoming operational in 2023. Afghanistan is telling the world something it's never been able to say before. You don't have to like us, but you can't ignore our geography. And maybe that's why, after 2 decades of failures, a very old project suddenly came back to life, the Tapi Pipeline. Turkmenistan to Afghanistan to Pakistan to India. A pipeline designed to move 33 billion cubic meters of natural gas every year. For decades, it was just paperwork and speeches. But in September 2024, the Taliban shocked everyone. They officially restarted construction on their part of the pipeline. If completed, Afghanistan alone could earn nearly $1 billion a year from transit fees. What makes this even crazier is that the original TAPI negotiations were done with the Taliban in 1998, before 9/11. 25 years later, they're back in power, and they've picked up the plan almost exactly where they left off. Even global institutions that don't officially recognize the Taliban are quietly working with them. The World Bank restarted the CASA 1000 electricity project in 2024, a $1.2 billion project transmitting 1,300 megawatts of electricity from Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan down into Afghanistan and Pakistan. But here's the interesting part. The payments for this project never touch Taliban hands. They're ring-fenced offshore. The Taliban gets electricity and economic benefits, but the money bypasses them. A strange arrangement, but one that shows how much the world needs Afghanistan's geography. But here's the biggest untold piece: minerals. Afghanistan is sitting on trillions of dollars of untapped resources: lithium, copper, iron, gold, rare earth elements, everything needed for electric cars, smartphones, solar panels, and batteries. And the Taliban knows exactly how valuable this is. China has mining rights at the massive Ainak copper mine, and although operations were delayed for years, things started moving again in mid-2024. The Taliban is able to offer something the previous government never could: security guarantees. And while foreign mining begins, the Taliban is collecting massive revenue from smaller local mines. In 2022 alone, they earned over $1.5 billion, much of it from mining taxes. And that money is being reinvested directly into megaprojects, including the reconstruction of one of the deadliest tunnels on Earth, the Salang Tunnel. This Soviet-built tunnel is a lifeline between northern and southern Afghanistan, but had become a carbon-filled death trap. Designed for 2,000 vehicles, but often carrying over 9,000, it caused one of the worst road disasters in history in 1982, killing nearly 2,700 people. But in December 2023, the Taliban announced something no one expected. The entire tunnel had been rebuilt using $100 million of domestic funds, about a quarter of Afghanistan's total yearly tax revenue. Moves like this show a pattern. They're not just taking power, they're building it. They're using water, electricity, geography, and minerals to reshape the country. These projects could either transform Afghanistan into a regional powerhouse, or drag the region into new conflicts over water, minerals, and influence. Either way, one thing is clear. For the first time in decades, Afghanistan isn't just reacting to world events, they're shaping them. And whether the world likes it or not, the Taliban's new mega projects might redefine the future of an entire region.